Hey everyone, this is Nancy Chauhan. I am a developer relation engineer at Gitpod, and today I have Romarik with me. He is the CEO and co-founder of Qovery. Today we are going to learn more about Qovery and Gitpod, and we are going to develop, run application on AWS using Gitpod and Qovery. Over to you, Romarik.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. It's good to be here and glad to make these sessions with you and Gitpod, like a product that I'm using for a long time now. And yeah, the idea is to show all of that with Qovery. But basically, so I'm a Romaric, CEO and co-founder of Qovery. I'm a developer like for more than 10 years, like SRE as well. And I decided to launch this company just like a few years ago, like 2 years ago. Now we have more than 40,000 developers using our platforms to deploy their application in the cloud, and happy to show you how it works. But maybe just quickly to introduce Qovery. So Qovery is a platform that you install on your cloud account that makes you able to just do two things that are quite critical. The first is to deploy your application very efficiently, fast on AWS. Let's say that you're a developer, you have a development team, and no one's know about like AWS. You don't have like any DevOps internally. So you want just to ship your application, then in just 30 minutes, you can get like a production stack on your AWS account that makes you able to ship your application is Qovery. And the second thing that is the thing that we'll discuss is how do you make sure that your team is still like a very efficient gain in velocity by developing new features. And it's what we call on-demand environment, basically how you can get just a staging environment for every single developer. And this is exactly what we can provide with Qovery. So yeah, happy to be here, Nancy.
That's awesome, Romarik. Thank you so much for the short introduction. I think I should go ahead with Gitpod for all those who are new to Gitpod. So Gitpod provides fresh automated cloud development environments for each task in seconds. That means like it provisions ready to code developer environment in the cloud, and you can access it from your IDE. You can use VS Code Desktop. You can use browser, which we're going to do in our demo today. You can also use JetBrains, and on the top of it, you can work on multiple ephemeral environments parallelly. So if you're working on multiple features, which usually happens, like I was always consumed in working on multiple things. So yeah, so in a nutshell, it removes friction and improves the overall developer experience with the automation, collaboration, and all the security benefits that the cloud provides. And I think like with Qovery and Git put together today, we are going to learn more about how to develop these applications, any applications frictionlessly. So we have a great demo by Romarik. Over to you, Romarik. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy. Um, yeah, perfect. And I wanted just to share something that you mentioned, Nancy, which is great.
Yeah.
It's basically the premium environment system that you have on Gitpod, which is great because it's true that you can, and sometimes you're working on different projects as a developer on different feature, and you just to jump from one project to the other, from one feature to the other. It's like something that you really need to do. And that's something that is really appreciated from that. One things that also Qovery brings into that path, because we are also working on what we call the preview environment system, but for like a complete stack production stack environment. And here it's exactly what I'm showing here. For instance, so this is the Qovery web interface. Basically, I'm inside a project which is like a big neobank. This environment is the production one. And into that environment, I have multiple applications. Actually, I have 4 applications and 2 databases. And the concept of Qovery is how do we make sure that when developers makes new features, wants to try something, or even like a product manager wants to just validate a new feature, how do we make sure that we can just mimic the production environment with a complete testing environment? And this is where it completely fits like the philosophy of Gitpod. How do we make sure that developers gain in velocity, product manager as well just can try out those features? And it's by using this concept of environment. So just before jumping into that, I just want to show where Qovery really integrates. So I've shared my Figma because we are working with Figma a lot. And this is like a quick graph of Qovery. So you can see Qovery at the center. And basically, Qovery is really a product that we integrate into your working environment, meaning that if you have if you're using Git, obviously GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, you can connect Qovery to your different Git accounts. because Qovery will bring and take the application from those VCS provider. And by the way, that's the way we do integrate with Gitpod as well, because Gitpod is obviously working on Git. If you make any changes, then Qovery just detect those changes and watch these changes, and then we'll just react to those changes. And then you can also integrate your CI/CD. So if you have any CI/CD in place, but Qovery provides also like a built-in CI, a container registry, because maybe you want to just deploy like a already built container image. And we have different interfaces like the web interface, CLI, API, and even a Terraform provider. And all of that, all the actions that you do are applied on your cloud infrastructure, because when you install Qovery for the first time, you just need to connect your AWS account, basically. No knowledge needed. In just 30 minutes, it's automatically done, okay? So I'm not going to show that part because obviously will take like some time otherwise. But what I wanted to show you is how do you make sure that you can just like get the value of both product, Qovery and Gitpod. And let's say that you are a developer, you are working maybe on the production environment. So obviously it's not something that you should do like for real, like making changes quickly on the production. But let's say that you need to make like a change quickly on your production environment because something goes wrong. What we have done with Qovery is that we have integrated very easily like one-click button, like edit code button. So you can get access to this button from the application, so all the application into the environment for every single application into that environment, or directly when you get into the application level, and you can make the change to the code. So if I go back here and I watch this application, we see this is what's written is, hello, this is the main branch. So it's a demo application, basically, a front-end application. If I want to make a change, and let's say that I want to make hello, this is a Nancy branch, the Nancy branch, then I can just click on edit code here. And what happens is that Gitpod is well integrated. So we just like, basically it's just a link with the URL of the Git that is already connected and linked to my account. And then from that, Gitpod open up. So I can make quickly, you see, from my browser, I don't need to install anything. Everything happens from the browser right away. I can make my changes. So here, if I want to change that to hello, this is Nancy, the Nancy branch.
This change looks very less scary in production. I'm sure if you have something in production, like in real, it's going to be scary. And I think this is quite useful, like just edit and
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you are like dealing with tons of dependency, because here it's like a simple project, but obviously the concept of remote development environments provided by Gitpod is that you make sure when you load the environment and you click on this button, edit code, that you have all the right dependencies that are loaded. You have all the complete and same environment. So you are just sure that the changes that you make are really the ones that are from the production and not from another version. So if you are running like on a very old version, your production is running on an old version, then you are just sticking to the right environment. So this is really the concept.
I just want to share this. This happened with me that I was working on some. I applied the old migrations of database, with just it just it just created a lot of mess. So I can relate now. Like everything updated is so important because when I applied the wrong migrations, everything got messed up in database, and I had to like go back to the reback option, like to the if you have like something to restore it, I had to restore it.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
long process. Yeah.
Yeah. Joke aside, restoring like a database, rollback database is like it's very difficult.
So
Yeah,
let's do the simple thing.
yeah.
Let's use, yeah.
And if we make like, so let's say it's core change title, so I do commit and push my change. So okay, yes, same change. Okay. So from that, what we'll see is that just basically you will see in just a few moments, you see, Qovery redeployed this new version, like automatically. And there is no downtime, like it's done like in real time. It's what we call rolling update. So there is no downtime. And you can even watch, obviously, the deployment logs from that. So you can see what happened in real time, so the rebuild and all those phases. And everything happened remotely on your AWS account. So that's the magic of Qovery. So that's the first thing of that product. So, but let's say that you want to, and you have someone that wants to try out a new feature on that. And from that environment, and this is what we call a preview environment feature. And to turn on the preview environment feature, you just need to click to get into your environment, okay? Click on the preview environments tab and turn on that feature. What does that mean? It means that for every single pull request that you do create for your applications where you have turned on the feature, then a new environment will be spin up with all the dependencies. And in an isolated fashion, you will be able just to try out that feature. Then when you close the pull request or you merge back, then the environment just disappears. So you don't have like any IT waste. You don't pay for resources that you are no longer consuming, because Qovery takes care of like just removing all the dependencies, all the resources. Yes. Let me show you that. So we are waiting for that applications to be deployed, but it can be deployed, and we'll see in just a few seconds that it has been deployed, and then I will show just the preview environment system. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good if you can see the logs.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just to explain quickly what happens behind. So basically, Qovery creates, so build the applications, push it into like a container registry that has been created dynamically on your AWS account. Then it's deployed and configured the network. So we do provide also like a temporary domain, the TLS. We deploy the application on the Kubernetes, because behind the scene on your infrastructure, what we do install is a Kubernetes cluster. So we do also provision that cluster, and we do deploy that environment with the new application. And here, what we can see is that once it's done, then it's accessible, and we can go back to that, open the link again. Hello, this is the Nancy branch. So we make the change. Yeah.
I can see that. It's
Yeah.
done in seconds. Yeah.
Yeah,
And also I like the fact that Qovery is supported with a lot of Git platforms like GitLab, Bitbucket, and
yeah,
GitHub. So it's kind of flexible as well.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And you
Even
can
if you have,
also
yeah,
configure Gitpod. I'm sorry. You can also configure like Gitpod in all these platforms. So I think
yeah,
it's good. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's why we did choose to use, for instance, Gitpod instead of any other solutions in the market, is because Gitpod integrates very well with all the different Gits and the most popular VCS provider, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, which is very important for us because we do support also all those sources when you deploy an application. You see, from the application standpoint, you can have, and it's exactly what happened into my environment. I can have an application from the same environment that are running on GitHub, but also on GitLab or in Bitbucket. And all combined, you must be able to just like edit the code from those applications. And this is where Gitpod is a great solution for that. So if I go back to my application, so now this is the application that has been deployed. So I turn on the preview environment system, and I want to show you that features. So I will edit again the code for my application. And now what we are going to do is just creating a new branch. Okay, so let's say it's create an NC Gitpod demo. So I know that there is no name clash because I'm creating so many branches that I just feel like to get a clash of name. And for that name, now it's going to be, hello, this is a new preview environment. This is a preview environment for Nancy. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like just a small change, but let's say that you are making a big change on your code base. It doesn't make any difference. Okay. So it doesn't change anything. So now I'm going to commit that core change title for Nancy PR. Okay. And I'm going to create it, and publish the branch. So now what I have is a new branch that has been created. So if I go back to the interface, I can get it to GitLab, because the repository that I'm making the changes are coming from GitLab. And now I can create a merge request. But before creating that merge request, so it's very similar to a pull request. So GitLab has decided to name it like a merge request. GitHub is a pull request. So, hey, this is a new change for Nancy. So this is just a description. I didn't click yet on create merge request. I just want to go back here. You see Neobank. And if I refresh, you see I have only one environment, the production environment. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is just creating a merge request. Okay. And you see even Qovery is integrated with Git and GitLab. So we do insert like a comment right away. And if we go back here, you see a new environment has been created. And the difference with Gitpod, where Gitpod is creating a preview environment just for one single application, obviously, because that's the purpose of your product, working on like code base and making changes and just previewing those changing. Here, what we do is that we create a full stack environment, meaning that we have a front end, back end, API gateway, RabbitMQ, a database, Postgres, and a Redis cache. And we create all those resources for that environment. Then from that, you're sure that when you make your changes, then you are in a complete environment. Then if you make any changes, then it's completely isolated from the other environment. And then you can break anything that you want, even if you want.
I'm just wondering, like, do we also have a rollback option? Let's say you deploy something. So do we have something like a rollback option from Qovery, the UI?
Of course, exactly. So if we go back to, so this is the old interface, the V2. We have just launched the V3, so that's why I was making like the demo from that interface. And it's something that is going to come like in the coming weeks on the V3, but basically you can just roll back like to a previous working version. You see, this is the changes that I made for Nancy. But if I want to roll back the productions to the older version, I can just in one click roll back, and this is exactly what happened right now. Now, you see, for this environment.
Awesome. This is great.
Yeah, it looks very simple. You see that.
I can feel that if something is messed up in production, it is really something like rolling back is really important. And I'm in one click, we are just deploying it to production is a big thing, and it's simpler using this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's reliable because you are like in a complete automated pipeline. You know that all those steps, when they are made, it can't be messed up. Obviously, it's the Qovery product that is doing that, but we have like so many tests that are running just to validate every single component that it's something that is quite reliable. Yeah. And here we'll see that this environment is going to be like created. We can see that now the preview environment will be like ready in just a few moments. So it's creating the database, the network, assignating like a new domain, a network, and all those things, you see. So what I want to, just like in a nutshell, what I want to share is that like managing environments, like productions, developments with Gitpod and Qovery, super straightforward, super easy. Like it has never been so easy, like just to managing all those environments. That is the local development environment for the developers, because they can benefit from Gitpod, and just in one day, they don't mess up with their configurations. They have something that is ready and complying to the resources that are required by the company just to run the applications. And with Qovery, they can just get access to like the productions, development environment, production environments, like very easily as well. In a remote system. So this is like just a wonderful, it's just wonderful. When I look back, and sorry, Nancy, because I'm talking a lot, but when I look back just like 10 years ago, when I was starting working myself and just provisioning like a development environment for developers or onboarding a newcomer, took like days just to set up. You have to order for the laptop, you have to configure the laptop, you have to give access to the remote system, the different environment. If you want to try something in production, forget about it, because you had to wait for weeks, if it's not months. it's crazy how the things have changed. And with those solutions, yeah, definitely
Yeah,
like the future.
yeah, I can totally relate to you, like the onboarding part, because it used to take me like a week or so whenever I used to join a new organization, because on my machine the versions are different and the versions used in like the project are different, and I really used to hate it, but now it's easier. It's way easier, even to do mistakes in production, but we should not do it. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
want to say
true.
that, but yeah. Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. I think that's it. Like for the demo, we can just wait a few moments more, but you see the benefits and you see how it works. Basically, you can duplicate environment if you want to clone a new environment. Let's see, it's Nancy demo off because you want to try out like a new features from Gitpod and you
Yeah,
want to make it like possible into like a complete environment. Just in one click, you can clone an environment, the production, and then get from that a complete
yeah,
environment. And maybe something that I didn't mention, by the way, is, and it's like a question that I hear quite often, is concerning the database themselves. Concerning the data of the database. Let's say that you clone your production and you have like your databases, production database that are attached to Qovery, and you clone those environments. What happens for the data? There's two things. Qovery takes care of like cloning also the data from those data, but not in a dumb way, in a smart way, because we have launched a product that is named completely open source. It's a
okay,
RepliByte, by the way. So RepliByte is just a product that makes you able just to seed your development database from your production data, but keeping safe the sensitive data from that. And we are using that, and you can even use it just like outside of Qovery. It's like completely standalone. But basically, that's the purpose of this project. And the second thing is that you can just simply, if you want to seed the data from your database, your development database, you can just run a script, a seed script to seed the data if you want. But all of that are configurable. There is no problem.
yeah. That's amazing. I didn't know about this tool. That's really cool. That's all with the demo. Romaric, like I think you've already answered this, like, but I just want to put up this again. How do you think like using Gitpod and Qovery is very good for the end user developers? Like one use case, let's say we are developing something, and we can just imagine that in some use case scenario. How will you put that up? How are they best together?
Yeah, basically it's super simple. From the purpose of like a developer is just like focusing and building value for the companies that he's working on, like shipping features. He don't really wants to care about like all the different aspects that are around, like configuring the laptops, configuring all the dependencies that they need, and getting and grasping all those things locally, but also on the production side of the things. And this is
Yeah,
where like a Gitpod and Qovery just perfectly fits in, because Gitpod's really focusing on like the development experience for the developers, making sure that an individual developers and a team of developers are like productive enough just to ship the value to the company. And Qovery also like align in this like philosophy, which is how do we make sure that the developers are like quite autonomous at the end of the day and can be able to ship in productions and just manage their application in production the right way. So this is
yeah.
where we see like a lot of synergy. That's why we have integrated as well Gitpod in our product, because we do believe that's the future of like running things.
Yeah, I can see like Gitpod providing the good developer experience and Qovery bringing closer to production, making deployment easier. So yeah, that's really good. You answered it quite well. Thank you so much, Romaric, for this demo. And if anyone has any questions, you can reach out to Gitpod over Discord channel. I'm just going to paste all the links in the video description. And if someone has questions about Qovery, you can reach out to their forum channel and their Discord as well. Thank you so much, Dramatic.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah.